passing it over to you, Rob.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Lauren. I've got a guest here with me that I was kind of excited to be able to interview. Tom Gillis, SVP and GM for Security and Infrastructure. And I was just telling you how I haven't had a chance to really listen to you because I literally studied when you started talking Hypershield and some of the other things. But you've been around Cisco at various stages for a very long time.
Yeah.
Today feels momentous this particular week. Can you tell us this idea of fusing security into the network? And when I think about that devices, I feel like we've been doing some of that, or that's a story we've had before, but I bet there's differences.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's not a new idea. It's something that Cisco's been talking about for a long time because it's the right answer.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I don't mean all security goes into the network, but there's certain security functions, like let's talk about a firewall, that can be so much more effective if they're tightly integrated to the network. Now, the careful listener will say, oh yeah, Cisco's done that, and you might even recognize me like, oh, Tom, didn't you actually work on that?
There was a younger version of you, I believe.
Younger, smarter,
ISR security,
better-looking version of me that worked on infusing security to the network into the ISR. And the thing we did that was the most interesting is we put it into a catalyst switch.
Yeah.
So if you remember, we had a very, very clever name for it. It was called FWSM.
Oh,
yeah.
Just rolls off the tongue.
FWSM,
yeah.
Firewall Services Module. It was a dedicated security processor in a data center switch. Customers loved it. Now, more than a decade later, we've reimagined that whole concept where we can put security into the fabric of the network with Hypershield in itty-bitty little tiny enforcement points. And for customers at scale, you could have 1 million tiny little baby enforcement points. Now,
are they baby enforcement points because it's the level of granularity in which they're acting upon?
Yes.
Because you're not stopping a whole service necessarily. You're stopping a very specific thing from happening.
And that's the key, is that security needs to have context to what we're protecting. So if we know, hey, I'm sitting under a Postgres database, we can put policies in place that are specific to that Postgres database. We can shield vulnerabilities that we know to exist. We can look at access and flows that should never be occurring and protect that database very specifically. And this would not have been possible without AI, right? You can't manage 1 million firewalls the way you manage a traditional firewall. So AI is the kind of breakthrough capability that allows us to put security into the fabric of the network in a way that is highly autonomous, easy to deploy, and far more effective than it ever used to be.
Yeah, this is some of the functionality where we then come back up, and it was one of the points I loved, but this notion of kind of extending that patching window. Now, of course, the fear is you tell me that this is solving that problem. Well, do I still need to patch?
It's funny. I just came from a group of customers talking about exactly this topic. So we have the ability to deploy compensating controls on our customers' applications. So an enterprise application, we can shield those vulnerabilities. It does not eliminate the need to patch. It is a finger in the dike. Right?
Yeah.
It's a very automated and kind of temporary control so that you can patch in an orderly fashion. Now, when we introduced this concept, you remember, we started talking about this about 2 years ago. And when I would show this to customers, they're like, ooh, that's amazing. But hey, Cisco, you know what? Patching your switches and your routers and your firewalls is hard.
Oh, that hurts.
Yeah, these are inline devices. These are high-performance devices. They're hard to upgrade, right? You have to use a change control window. You're doing it over, 4th of July or Christmas. And so we're taking the same technical building blocks, and we've implemented it into our own switches. So we announced a capability called Cisco Live Protect, which allows us, if we know we have a vulnerability in the Nexus operating system, NXOS, we will create a compensating control, and we will push it into the Nexus dashboard, and an administrator can then say, I'm going to apply this shield to this switch without rebooting the switch. It's a big deal.
And you had to build towards that, right? Because we were monolithic, of course, in previous versions of this software. So it's been well before we even knew what Gen AI was, and it became such a common term. You guys had to be working on some capability here, because you could see that the deconstructive, the ability to break these things out and address them independently without having a knock-on effects to their neighbors.
Yep.
But this is kind of a general question, because I'm sure you have been very much in the middle of this. But all the announcements this week with so many product lines, 19 new switches in the industrial side, and then new routers, and then new namings and management platforms, and I like the fact that even though we've gone through change like that before, this actually feels a bit more consolidated in a way that makes more functional sense than I've seen in the past.
I will argue that what Cisco has been talking about and we're executing on is delivering a platform. So what does a platform mean? We just talked in the earlier segment about some of the unique capabilities that Cisco's developing around AI defense.
Right.
How do we protect AI-based applications? So we're taking that AI defense and we're putting it into this distributed firewall called Hypershield. And we're taking that distributed firewall and we're putting it into a data center switch or a campus switch with the Catalyst smart
Different
switches.
forms based on location.
And then we're taking the network with those network services and we're bringing it right to the doorstep of the GPU for our AI-ready data center. That's a platform.
Yeah.
Right? Advanced security integrated in the fabric of the networks and scale to AI throughput, all working across multiple different heterogeneous systems, but with one integrated approach, one integrated management console. It's pretty transformative.
I'm just impressed because I'm like, how have you guys pulled this off? Because it just feels like much more has been of significant announcement has been made. You know, thinking about Apple had
the building
made
blocks
up for all those announcements.
The building blocks that we have to do this are much better than they were a year ago, and those building blocks are advanced silicon. So Silicon One, which is Cisco switching ASIC, allows us, it's the engine that can do a lot of this magic. We work with our silicon partners, AMD, NVIDIA, and Intel, and we can put these advanced processors into those smart switches. And then the AI management to make this stuff actually usable at scale. A lot of that stuff didn't exist 2 years ago, but now it does.
Tom, thank you so much. I hate to cut you off, but we're going to have to keep moving on the show. I could talk to you forever, so don't run away.
It's always a pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you, Tom.